What's up, everybody? We're back. Another new episode of the Last Wave podcast. We dive into topics like ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, nerd stuff, and conspiracies. As always, thanks for listening. It means a whole lot to us. Check us out on our Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, and of course our blog, which is getting a ton of traffic. And we actually just brought on an editor to assist, with some of that. So that's really fun. A lot of cool stuff going on over there. We're finally back on track with our haunted 50 state tour. I think the last one I released was Arizona. This time we're stopping over in Kansas, of all places. And at first I was like, what in the sim hell am I going to find in Kansas? But apparently there's a good bit to learn. Starting with arguably the most haunted town in Kansas, Atchison. The town actually offers a tour of multiple haunted homes on their trolley tour. How quaint, right? That's just fantastic. The Riverview Drive home is a good spot to start. Stories say this house is impossible to live in due to the amount of paranormal activity. Guests find their things thrown around. Televisions have apparently been left on high volume in rooms where no one has even been. All sorts of sights of a ghostly elderly woman have happened there. Atchison Street was previously known as Ferry Street way back in the day. It is said to be haunted by a woman whose horses came off of her buggy and she was plunged into the cold water of the river below. And she was trapped inside the buggy. Her body was actually never recovered, but men report hearing a woman's voice calling them from the water. So that's pretty interesting. According to one of the previous owners of one of the aging but beautiful homes on the street, so it's actually a number of homes on the street, it says the paranormal entity there is a friendly one, and on one occasion, a man lived in one of the homes and was helped into a jacket by who he thought was his wife. But when he turned to thank her, no one was there. So that's that would be pretty frightening, honestly. You're just like, okay, cool, let me just get my jacket on, and then all of a sudden, you know, that's happening. You turn around, no one's there that's helped you, and you're like, well, I think I'm done for the day. Gonna head back on inside. But but that would be pretty crazy. I know another story tells of being prepared when they got tea being prepared when they got home from an outing. So a full kettle on a stove was just left for this family that it was in the home or was in one of the few homes that are on the street that are known to be haunted. So it just seems like actually like a helpful spirit. Like I don't know if it really sounds like different spirits, I would say, but and living near water, they say that water can be a conductor of spirits, and you see that you do know that that is pretty well discussed in the paranormal entity field. Is that water can carry all these spirits with them? It can convert spirits, give spirits the ability to travel. Some expect so that's kind of cool. It's very possible that all these are different spirits. It could be that they're the same spirit doing different stuff, which is either way, very cool story. Um, Molly's Hollow is another interesting spot in town. Locals can't decide if she was a woman who was hung by her date after prom. That sounds awful. Or an African American woman who was lynched here. That also is awful. You feel like they would have records of certain things. But many have seen ghostly figures and camera inconsistencies at this tree, right where she was said to have been hung many years ago. Whoever she is, it's a pretty creepy story, but that doesn't keep local teens from hanging out there. And, well, I'm sorry, hanging out there, that's kind of a pun, but it's just one of those like local stories of, this person was hung there and this tree is said to be haunted. You get those stories in basically every state. It's your common, kids go after high school to hang out and get freaked out kind of thing. Could be true, could not be true. Who knows? But it's a cool story. There's also a building nearby in Jackson Park where locals believe Molly haunts, as some interesting pictures have been taken inside the small facility, and it's in a park in the general area. You can also hear sounds of moaning and weeping, so that's pretty cool. Well, that's not cool. It's awful, but it kind of takes you back to the white woman, the white lady type of entity, your banshee, your siren, the wailing woman. I did an episode on them a while back. It was an episode or a blog post, but basically connecting all these entities like your sirens, your banshees, your wailing woman, your just a story just like this, or your common like you're driving alone on a dark night, you see a woman in a white dress, you pick her up, you go down the road, she disappears. That kind of thing. It's all seems to be. I kind of put forth the theory that it was all a common entity, and that was just a type, just like you have your fairy types, your Bigfoot, your poltergeist. It just fit in. It fits in a group, and you always people often confuse sirens and banshees, saying that if a banshee calls, someone's going to die. But in another culture, they have the sirens, and if you hear a siren, they're pulling you to your death. So it's possible that both of these are doing the same thing. It just is observed differently. It's just a bad omen either way. So it would also be interesting to know what happened to the people that hear the sounds of moaning or weeping, from Molly in air quotes. So pretty interesting, pretty crazy. The coolest story I found was a home called the Gargoyle House or the Wagner Home. The largest estate is allegedly haunted by a spirit of a man who built it, and he, according to legend, afforded and built the home by making deals with the devil, which is never a good sign. Over the years, though, any owner who has attempted to remove the home's gargoyles has met an untimely death. So I thought that was pretty crazy. Like, um, that would be that's just a good legend. You can't take the gargoyles down, and plus, why would you want to? If you're gonna buy a home that has gargoyles, leave them up. That's dope. Like that's cool. Like I would love to have a house of gargoyles. I don't want it to be a haunted house of gargoyles, but still, it's a great story. The last home on the tour, and this is all just this one city, which is crazy, which is the most famous home on the tour. It has been the focus of more than a few of your haunted, or ghost hunting shows. The Sally House. It's said to be haunted by a 6-year-old girl named Sally, who sadly died during procedures to remove an appendix. She was actually awake during the process. In 1993, a couple was renting the home when they were assaulted with paintings being turned around, their child's toys were being thrown, electrical appliances are turned on and off as if on their own. There was a number of small fires that even started randomly in the home. And after the husband was allegedly shoved by a ghostly hand towards the stairs, the family left. Um, the Sally House, again, it has been on a few shows, so you can find it pretty much anywhere on Amazon Prime. I don't think it's on Netflix, but I'm pretty sure the Ghost Hunters, the Ghost Adventures have been. It's been on a few shows. I'm trying to remember what shows I've seen, but I know it's been on some shows. So you can find clips of that online. Again, it's called the Sally House. It's very famous. But moving away from ghosts and into the world of cryptids, they did have a few interesting ones I dug up. Sinkhole Sam is a longtime legend from the Inman Lake area in McPherson County. Legend has it that shortly after the Inman Lakes area was drained, leaving sinkholes behind as shallow puddles, uh, the largest being named the Big Sinkhole. Two men were reportedly fishing in the Big Sinkhole and saw Sam, describing it as a long snake-like creature measuring somewhere around 15 feet long and as wide as an automobile tire. The creature was allegedly living in the caverns below the freshwater lake, which would serve as a perfect hiding place and reason no one had seen Sam before. And some speculate the creature actually might be, well, I'm gonna try not to butcher this, but it's called a Foopengurkle. Some species thought to be extinct, and one that I certainly have never heard of before. But there is apparently little to no evidence online about them. No one has found any evidence of Sinkhole Sam, but many explain it away with the underground cavern home theory. Now you hear this theory presented with Nessie as well. So they just live in and travel from the ocean to the lake. So I'm going to pause for just a second. There we go. Just needed a little bit of a drink to keep going. This is my second or third episode of the day recording, so at least there will be more coming. There's going to be more, we're going to try again to keep up this pace of one a week at least, if not more. So, anyway, Sequel Sam was pretty crazy. That sounds, I mean, it kind of makes sense if you drain the lake and all you have left are these basically connections to this underground caverns, which sounds weird. I need to look up pictures to it because I'm guessing you just got a bunch of big puddle-esque ponds laying around, and that's where this thing allegedly lives. So, pretty cool theory, pretty cool story. The Beeman, or Beaman, is a monster of the Kansas City area. It has reportedly been spotted on both sides of the state border. The legend can be traced back into the early 1900s when it said that a circus train wrecked and a 12-foot tall gorilla escaped. Many believe the Beeman sightings were of the offspring of this escaped gorilla and haven't been able to catch it yet. A 12-foot gorilla, that sounds very tall. Like, I don't think there's 12-foot gorillas. I mean, I know silverbacks are huge, but I don't think they're 12 feet. So, you have it could be anything. Other sightings have compared the animal to more like a coyote or a wolf, but standing on two legs. So, but just a little too human looking to be a normal animal. Footprints have also been found, but they've been spaced out too far to be a normal man's stride. No sightings have happened for a while, likely due to the alleged escaped gorilla's lifespan. So this ties into, of course, with Bigfoot sightings, but actually way down in the southeast corner of Kansas, where it meets other states, there have been reports of Bigfoot himself. Reports dating back actually to at least 100 years as well. Soon after the Civil War in Crawford County, there were reports of a wild man or gorilla roaming the wooded areas on its back legs or on all fours. According to the report, it looked much like a man. It looked too much like a man to shoot at, and no one was able to capture it to know for sure. So that's some pretty good stuff. I mean, sightings going back all that way. I mean, the Civil War, they wouldn't have known what a gorilla is. I don't think. I don't know when gorillas were discovered, but I don't believe it was before the Civil War. So I could be completely wrong. I have to look that up. But that sounds like, and they certainly wouldn't be in America. So that definitely is pretty fascinating that it could be, you know, this Bigfoot, pretty clear, open and shut case of what could be a Bigfoot. Now, when this sounds weird as far as Kansas, I mean, that area is pretty wooded. But recently, I'm going to throw in a Bigfoot note here. Recently, we've had with the paranormal group, Hickory Occult and Paranormal Society, or HOPS. Check us out on Facebook. We're still doing stuff during the pandemic. Still trying to get out and do investigations. But one of the investigations we've had lately was in the middle of North Carolina, like smack in the middle near the zoo in Asheboro. And that county, which was really surprising, there's a national forest there, but that area is pretty flat. Like I said, it's not foothills, it's not mountains. And that area, according to one or two of the websites I found, actually has the highest amount of Bigfoot sightings in North Carolina, which you would really expect to be like towards Asheville or towards the western part of the state in the more mountainous regions. But it had the most reports by like 6 or 7 reports, like over the next one, the next lowest one. So that I thought that was really weird. So that just kind of shows you Bigfoot can just pop up really anywhere. They don't have to be in, the mountains or the woods or anything like that. So that's kind of interesting. But and also kind of interesting that it was in the same county as the Asheboro Zoo. So I thought that was pretty fascinating. Um, Next, that lines us up with pterosaurs. Much like some of our other reports, we again find freaking pterosaurs, like pterodactyls and all that stuff. Why the hell is everyone reporting seeing flying dinosaurs? I've never seen one. But this creature was actually native to Kansas millions and millions of years ago, back when the western interior seaway covered most of our area with a wide expanse of water. The largest pterosaur fossil had a wingspan of over 25 feet, which is mind-blowing. If you think about anything flapping around the sky, you've got your condors, your turkey vultures, your big eagles. But still, that would be, I don't know, I'm going to sound like an idiot. It probably at least 2 to 3 times the wingspan of anything flying right now that we know of. But reports have come in over a number of years here and there throughout the state. So while reports of cryptids are here and there, we can also find them with most states. There are UFOs as well. So that's pretty cool. But I couldn't find you find that connection, but I couldn't find any like hard detail reports of pterosaurs in the area. But you do get them. There was a few here and there, none worth really mentioning. But people just claim to see them. And again, that area, like the area where Kentucky and Kansas, not Kansas, no, it's Kentucky. But anyway, it's not a pterosaur area. Again, it's very unexpected. I don't know if you have your another like you do in Arizona. You have portals and stuff like that. Not sure. I don't really think that there's just like groups of pterosaurs that are still living today. I think there is definitely something going on, like we're having a rip or a tear or a portal or something like that. But who knows? Either way, it's pretty crazy that people are just seeing pterodactyls and pterosaurs everywhere. But anyway, moving on to UFOs. Apparently, about 40 years ago, things got pretty crazy over the small town of Dighton. Today it's just a small town, but it's got about a little over 1,200 people. 40 years ago, though, the town was national news. It was plagued by sightings of lights in the sky. But most of the townsfolk reported sightings from farmers to the local police chiefs. The lights were reported flying around the town and even chasing some cars. The activity that year started in spring of 1972 in Dighton, where a red, orange, and white light would hover until an investigating patrol car drove up to it. Then it would move away. At the time, Chief of Police M.R. Shelton said that he chased it at speeds of up to 100 miles an hour, but never caught up with it. He said it would even run parallel to his car or slightly ahead of it. The lights were also spotted over a local baseball game, over cornfields, and in other areas across Kansas. Apparently, more than 40 sightings were reported in 1972, and according to the website UFODNA.com, Dighton had the most of that year. So there you have it. That's pretty fascinating that they had that that city had the most sightings for that year. But that was some pretty interesting stuff. I mean, more than I expected to find with Kansas. Like I thought I was just gonna have, you know, an open and shut case, few stories here and there. But Kansas actually came through, as most of the states do. You find out definitely some interesting stories I had never heard. Probably some interesting things that most people have never heard unless you live in the area. I knew places like the last episode, Arizona. I knew they were just chock full of stuff, but I really didn't see this coming. Um, I really enjoy this series. I think it's really super fun. I do kind of blaze through all the show notes, but it's just a handful of stories about states that most people again probably don't know. So again, good time, fun time. Thank you for listening. That's going to do it for this episode for Kansas. I don't know how many states we've done so far. I think we've only done like 5 or 6, so we've got plenty more to go. Got to work up a lot more show notes, but we'll keep this trade going. Thank you, everybody that sticks around. Thank you if you're new. Please throw a like and a subscribe on this video. Um, we are cranking out new stuff every week. Always researching. We're currently investigating stuff with hops. Again, Hickory, Occult, and Paranormal Society. Check us out on Facebook. Um, but yeah, we're doing a lot. If you are a Last Wave in General fan, you may have seen that we have a video game channel, but we shut that down just to move on to other things. Focus on the podcast and investigating and life and family. And times are crazy right now. If you watch what's funny is this is a researched episode and it's going to run about 20 minutes. The what's going on current events episode was like 45 minutes long. So that tells you the sheer amount of shenanigans that are going on in today's world and in our society. So it's hard to get around to do recordings, but Really enjoy it. If you're a fan of the show and you want to support us, you can check us out on Patreon.com. We do have a few episodes there. If you actually go and subscribe, I think it's $1 or $3 a month, somewhere around there, some super small thing. It helps us out, makes researching even more worth it because it definitely does take up a lot of time. And like today with recording, I'm probably going to be recording for 2 or 3 hours, doing a little bit of editing, some audio stuff. So I mean, it takes a little while, takes a little bit of effort. We're not really asking anybody to support it, but if you're a fan and you'd like to, Patreon.com, Last Way Podcast is the way to do it. You got blog posts there, some Patreon only videos. I know we've went over some UFO stuff, covering a book called the UFO Files. It's an older book, fantastic book. Definitely have some videos there you should check out. But again, as always, thanks for listening. If you've subscribed, thank you so much. If you're a fan of the show, thank you so much. It means a whole lot. We will catch you on the next episode. Stay safe and keep your head on a swivel out there.